For the past 2 months, I've been having this really fun issue where every time I log onto social media, I spiral into the depths of despair. But someone did gift me an advanced copy of Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. And I have to say, it kind of cured my depression a little bit. I know that's not how depression works, but it helped. It did lift me up, and it did make me want to come back to doing this thing that I love, with talking about books online to people who did not ask me to talk to them about books, but I am showing up anyway. It is January 1st. Happy 2025, I think. And this comes out January 14th. So in 13 days, you can have a copy of this if you don't already have one. And I think you should go ahead and make arrangements for that to happen for yourself. In general, I would say that I'm a pretty big fan of Grady Hendrix. I like a lot of his books, but this one is unlike a lot of his other books that I've read, particularly his last book that came out, How to Sell a Haunted House. That book was like the Bruce Campbell of horror books. Like, it's very campy. It's a lot of fun. It's not that deep. It's not that serious. If you go into How to Sell a Haunted House thinking that you're going to get like a really, really scary type of story, you're probably not going to like it that much. And I went into it not knowing what to expect and thought it was incredibly fun. So I kind of thought that his book that followed it would also be pretty campy. And I have to tell you, it is not. And that was a really, really, really pleasant surprise. I liked what he's done before, but I liked this even more. The story revolves around a 15-year-old girl who gets pregnant, and as a solution, her father decides to send her to a home where girls in her similar circumstance go. When they're at that home, they are taken care of until they have the baby, and then the home gives their children a good place to live, and the little girls can go back to their families, and their families can pretend like nothing ever happened. It's lovely. It's really a beautiful story. Obviously, it's not a beautiful story at all. It's insidious and gross and disgusting and misogynistic. And that is the horror that is tackled within this book. Of course, while all the girls are in the home, they find comfort in each other and they begin to learn about each other's lives, even though they're supposed to remain anonymous. And in that time, they decide that they want to kind of help each other out. And they encounter a woman who owns a bookmobile who turns out to be a little witchy. I'm not going to give anything else away, but the bookmobile coven based situation is like one of my favorite ideas ever. And I'm so glad that it is living inside of this book. The opening of this book, that is a note from the author, is absolutely beautiful. It kind of reminds me of Nat Cassidy and his books. So if you've loved Nat Cassidy's last few books, his forewords and afterwards, like, this hits just as hard as those have. And if I still haven't convinced you to read this book, I'm going to attempt to do so in a note from the author that is in the foreword. It says, in a 1964 book entitled Counseling the Unwed Mother, the author writes, "Nothing has been mentioned and little will be throughout the rest of this book about the numbers of unwed fathers. There are simply no statistics." There still aren't. The last time I